What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy. We've got Gary, and we are back in the feathers. Massive apologies, we were not around last week. Believe me, I think I said on my Instagram there was nothing more I wanted than to sit here with you, having just won the league. But I was busy, Gary was busy, Muskie was busy.
It's old news, that now.
We are still talking about it, don't you worry. We are in the feathers. Big shout out to them. You might be able to see in the background, they've got a new Thatcher's pump on, which is I'm not a massive cider guy, but in the summer, it's fucking amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I do like a cider in the summer. Same really. I don't drink cider that often, but yeah, it's dead refreshing in the summer. Yeah.
I think a Thatcher's is ideal for proper sunny beer garden or a fezzy, because you can.
Yeah,
drink.
I was gonna say, you know, when I like it, making me sound like an owl here. If you're ever like, you've got a weekend where you're away, or you're away for like a stag do or something, the day after you've had a heavy one, on like, you know, you just don't want to look under the lager. Just having like refreshing cider, and it feels like you're having a lemonade or something.
Yeah,
Magnus is quite good for that. You know, like the second day of a stag do, and you need to get going again.
Yeah.
You don't want to look at another pint because you've been on them.
Too harsh, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm thinking more about, you know, when you wake up in a tent in a field, and you're like, there's a warm lager there, but you can drink cider warm.
I know what you mean. Yeah. It's not as
It's not as harsh. Well, anyway, there's a Thatcher's pump there for when you are visiting the feathers, and if you do visit this weekend, you have got. By the way, I know
that cloudy lemon one sounds class. I love cloudy lemonade.
It's the same. Might have one in a minute. I know that this is coming out on a Friday, but just an FYI, I know me and you like the darts. On a Thursday, there's quite a few in here on a Thursday night, you know.
It's boss, mate. The
Premier League, darts in here. Like,
Premier League on a Thursday's class.
Telly's everywhere. It's good crack on the Thursday for the darts. Friday night, you got Paul McKenna. Saturday night, Bree Shannon. And then on Sunday, you can get in the feathers and you can watch Arsenal give the champions a
Guard of Honour.
Right. How are you anyway?
Yeah, I'm all right.
We've got an exciting challenge at the end of the month, haven't we, lad?
We have, yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
So just to touch on that before we get into the sport, on the 31st of May, we will be heading up to Scotland. Me, Gary, Muskie, Neil, a few of the guys from Sedulo. My old man will be driving the minibus. Your dad will be joining us.
Yeah.
And a few more lads. I'm going to climb Ben Nevis, Scarfell Pike, and then on the Sunday, which takes us into Sunday, we'll be finishing on Snowdon. Last year, me and Gary done the Goggins Challenge, where we ran 4 miles every 4 hours, 48 hours, and raised, I think it was 11 grand, I think it was. We're going to try and beat the 10 grand challenge that we set last year and try and raise a bit more. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited, yeah. It's, as you said, it's a different type of challenge, isn't it?
I don't know whether it's going to be harder or easier.
I think it might be harder physically, but as you said, a bit more, a bit more like exciting. Like that is a mentally draining challenge.
Yeah, let's not beat around the bush. Me and Gary spoke about this off air. It was a bit shit at times.
Like, we had to try and make it look better than it was, and obviously the people that got along, as we said, that made it, didn't it?
That made it, yeah.
The runs, but when you have them runs where it's just like me and you,
when you're running around Bootle at 4 a.m, there's nothing like exotic about that, is there?
No.
But so yeah, we're going to be doing that. I was actually in the gym yesterday and was talking to my mate about it, and some old woman was listening. She come over and give me 20 quid.
Oh, that's class.
It's nice, that, isn't it? And I did put it in. If anyone wants to check out Just Giving link, I did put the 20 quid in.
Did you ask her name?
Jackie. I put Jackie from the sauna in the gym.
From the sauna? That sounds a bit musy. Jackie's paid you 20 quid for the sauna.
That wasn't for fucking the so yeah, and if you do want to donate, it'd mean a lot. The links will be in the bio of our YouTube video and on all our Instas. And again, close to the time, if you want to join us on the Sunday, it'd be nice to try and get a few more people jumped onto Snowdon. So.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's there's quite a lot of schools that have gone inset day on that Monday. Like my kids have, so we're going to stay over. We're going to stay over the night. But yeah, I think if you live in our area, there's a good chance that one of your schools has got an inset day on that Monday.
Yeah.
So it's the last Saturday in May.
Yeah.
But yeah, you couldn't particularly for people like us who grew up in inner city areas, you couldn't get a better cause to support the brilliant, some of the work they do. And I know that Jolie, one of my mates who's coming on it, is a teacher, and literally over the last couple of weeks they've been linked up with the Studio Foundation, and already there's some of their kids who, you know, haven't got anything who are being supported, and it's brilliant to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm grew up in Bootle all my life, and I think because I do okay in a sense, you kind of forget there are people on your doorstep, or just literally might be around the corner from your house, within 5 minutes of you, who are really struggling. I'm talking like, mums going to asking teachers for gas and lecky, you know what I mean? Like literally those types of that type of poverty. So yeah, like you say, the Sadulo Foundation does an amazing job, and it's a proper worthwhile cause that we've both seen firsthand, haven't we?
Exactly, yeah. And I've said so many times, I've run so many marathons, half marathons down the year for different charities, and every time I do it, I'm trying to find something that just gets you closer to that, to the support, because there's so many big charities, and I'm not having a pop at them, because some of them do some great work that you kind of funding their boards and their committees and their people to the money, every penny goes right.
Every penny. So they've kind of built into their business that the business covers every cost of the charity. So any money that goes to the charity goes to the charity, which is boss.
Yeah.
So yeah. Right. How long are you going to give me where we can talk about Liverpool being champions then?
Give it a go and I'll see how long I can tolerate it.
Do you know what? It doesn't feel as like it's done, innit? Like
I'm glad to
smoked everyone. Just absolutely smoked everyone. It was a boss day. I will just quickly say it was. So I'd come back from Ibiza. I'd done Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night. Ibiza. Got back Friday night. My sister got married on the Saturday. My other sister then set off to Lithuania with a fella Harry who's poorly at the moment. And then Sunday was the match. So it was a mix of an Ibiza come down. One sister getting married, the other sister and her partner away on the cop with me dad. I literally think I cried for like 90 minutes. Like in the end, I didn't even know what I was crying for. Do you know what I mean? And then when they started singing, like, for me, the highlight was when Arne Slot sang Jurgen Klopp. I think every footy fan can go, that's boss that. Did you think that, did you?
No.
Yeah, so that was a cracker. And then I stayed around the ground until about 11 o'clock, and then I was done there. My social battery was absolutely ruined, and I was home. But I had an amazing day.
Yeah, listen, I've got a little bit of a story about the game as well. So I went to, my wife was away, Jen, so I had the kids, myself on the Sunday, took my daughter to footy in the morning, and my son got back about midday. I'm just thinking, where can I hide here? But unfortunately, I needed to go to the supermarket because we had no food in. So I thought, right, I'll just, even though it was obviously a very nice day, weather was lovely, wasn't it? I thought, I'm just going to do a roast. That's the best way of staying out the way. So be in the kitchen.
Keeping your mind active.
Yeah. So I went and got all the stuff for that, stuff for the week and whatever. Anyway, I'm just about to go to the checkout and I see my brother-in-law. And he's like, what are you doing today? And literally, because I just purposely tried to get it out of my mind, I was like, no, I'm just in the house. And he's like, I'm doing a barbecue. And I instantly realised, you're not going to the match, because he does normally go to the match. He went, no, I'm having a barbecue in ours if you want to come along. And my gut was telling me no. What are you doing? And I was like, you know what?
It's a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. I went, you know what, sound, yeah, I'll come. Bring the kids. Went round, and it was a nice day, like, just in the garden. The kids are all playing. He had the barbie going, so he had the game on his laptop, but then had the game on the telly in the kitchen as well. Kitchen's about 10 yards away, and I had my phone, so my phone's ahead of the telly and the laptop.
Oh, you're one of them, were you?
The telly was ahead of the laptop, so I seen Tottenham like goal after obviously the first goal, and I'm like that, sitting there, and then you heard the cheer on the telly, or but a muted cheer, wasn't it? And then he's like on the fire because he couldn't hear the telly because he's got the barbie going. And he sees the goal and he's like, oh. So that obviously didn't last long. But anyway, just before the game, I'd said to James, if Richarlison comes on today, he's getting booked. No doubt about it.
Oh, God, yeah.
So he comes on dead late, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I jumped straight on my phone and went, right, 20 quid on Richarlison to get booked. 18-1 he was.
Shut up.
20 quid on Richarlison.
Wow.
So it was the last action of the game, wasn't it?
Wow.
So literally just before the whistle goes, he kicks out or whatever, gets booked.
Elliot it was, yeah.
And like, get in! But at this point here, Dad had turned up. Dad's a massive red and all. He's ready to like celebrate. Hey, get in! He's looking at what's going on here. Why is Gary cheering the final whistle? Oh, it's brilliant. And I'd said to one of the dads, he might be watching actually because he does watch. I said to one of the dads at all of his footy, I said, honestly, if Richarlison plays today, get on him for a yellow card.
Was it? I'm just going to make sure. I've got a terrible feeling now. Yeah, do you know what I will say about that? People who watch the show, I get like the odd messages, people giving me shit last week because we didn't record. You know what the best compliment I get from the show? People go, I love how you and Gary, you're a boss mates, but you're both fucking bitter and you just don't hold back. I think like that's what, and I think, when it comes to rivalries, who wants to see a rivalry where you're like, oh, well, unlucky that might well play.
No.
You don't fucking want that, do you?
No.
So that was one compliment I've had the last few weeks when I've seen people out and about. So roll on a bit.
Anyway, yeah, as soon as that final whistle went, I was out of there. And Jen went to me, he said, shit, I was talking to Megan's James's partner. And Jen's sister, Megan. He said as soon as Gary left, the champagne came out. So like, celebrate, because he felt a little bit like, didn't want to rub it
in his face. Yeah. On that being bitter and stuff and rubbing it in your face, I was at a charity lunch for the Old McVeigh Foundation, who, funnily enough, is the Sadulo Foundation helps out because they look after children as well. Saw Peter Reid and I had a little bevy with him, and I went, Peter, I reckon I'm just as bitter as you, And he went, I'm not bitter, me, lads. I said, fuck off. He's actually a really nice fella.
Yeah, well, he's on the Pazzy Power advert, isn't he? That's how bitter he is.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
Find someone as bitter as Peter Reid.
Yeah, no, he's a nice.
No, he's sound, Peter Reid, yeah, and he certainly he likes to drink as much as you.
I know, that's probably why we got on so much. So yeah, the celebrations, it was just a bit. I think because it was, it was happening for a while, didn't we? Let's be honest. And then with Arsenal and the Champions League, which we'll come on to in a minute, just nice now. It's just set up just a summer of gloating, which will probably come in spurts over the next couple of months.
I think it's dead funny in the summer then, because you've got half people going, oh, it's gone now, it's next season. But like if you're in your position, obviously you don't want to. Yeah. Hold on, no, we're still champions, and obviously you just can retain that for however long you can into next season. But I'm obviously going to start flipping it to the summer. It's about
it's gone now. Yeah,
it is. It
hasn't gone yet. It's not even over. Fucking hell, lad, you're not doing that until at least the end of the month. What I will say then, to bring it back down to earth a little bit, and I wouldn't say it's dampened it, but like why are we having to talk about this? But it's the Trent contract situation. Literally a week into being champions, and it's already like one of the star players is saying that he doesn't want to be here. It's not nice. Anyone who listens to this show will know that I love an analogy. I think what's driving me mad at the minute is like the rest of if you look on social media, pundits or people with an opinion on it who aren't a Liverpool fan or who aren't a Scouser can't seem to wrap their head around why Liverpool fans and Scousers feel so aggrieved. And I think this is it, right? I'm not knocking Trent in a sense that what he wants to do in his life and all that, fair play to the lad, right? But I think there are kind of two ways his career could go. One, like David Beckham, or two, like Steven Gerrard. And there's no Scouser or Liverpool fan can understand why you'd want to be like David Beckham and not Steven Gerrard. If you want to be like Steven Gerrard, you play for your boyhood club, you captain your boyhood club, you're a one-club man, and then, I know he went on to LA Galaxy, but know what I mean, he's a one-club man, and you're going to try your best to win everything you can. Okay? Or be like David Beckham, play for the club that you support, win, but then go on and learn different languages, learn different cultures, travel in different parts of the world, play in different teams, win different honours. Okay, so I understand.
Become a global superstar.
Become a global superstar.
Global, icon.
I get all that, again. And that's what I mean. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying that's a bad decision.
Go on.
I'm not saying it's not a bad decision to be like David Beckham. But I guarantee if you went and asked every single Scouser, Liverpool or Everton, I'd say, let's just stick with Liverpool fans, and said, who would you rather be like, David Beckham or Steven Gerrard? 99% of them would say Steven Gerrard.
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
No.
Wow.
No, I don't agree.
I thought I absolutely nailed that analogy.
No, I don't agree. No, I think one thing to clarify, by the way, Beckham was forced out by Ferguson. Ferguson wanted him out because he wanted to re-establish control. He felt like Beckham's brand. Yeah, and he was becoming the centrepiece. So I think there's an argument to say that Beckham would have stayed longer and maybe would have considered being that, that player you're talking about. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I just think Trent's got that kind of like, he's a good looking lad. He's, got that. He's already invested into F1 teams. He's got that kind of like David Beckham. I want to be a kind of style icon, fashion brand in him, hasn't he?
And yeah, and I think there's an argument to say it's personalities, isn't it? To be honest, I think Steven, knowing well, he's more of an introvert. He doesn't enjoy all the time that spotlight. Obviously, he enjoys being the main man on the pitch. But outside of that, that's not his thing, is it? He wants to be with his mates, you know, kind of getting on with his life. So I don't think that was ever going to be his, you know, his way, was it? Whereas Trent's always been the joker. Do you know what I mean? Even as a kid, he always wanted to be in some way the centre of attention. He was always trying to be a little bit of a boy. Do you know what I mean? And so I think it's personal, and that's why I say I don't agree with you. I think there'll be personalities as Liverpool fans. You know, in your work, you're a bit of an ego. You're the main man. I think there'll be some people going, no, I wouldn't mind a bit of that. Actually, now I think about it. So I know what you're saying as a fan.
I'm going to go, and I take your point on board. I'm going to take it down from 99% to 90% then.
Probably, yeah. Particularly the diehard fans who, you know.
Because I just think, and by the way, for anyone who's listening who's not a Scouser or not a Liverpool fan, I'm not saying wanting to be like David Beckham's a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? Whatever choice Trent decided to do, whether go down the Steven Gerrard route or the David Beckham route, he's going to have an unbelievable career and an unbelievable life, whatever he does. So I'm not like saying one's a bad decision, but I think that's what's baffling most. Is that like most Liverpool fans, in my opinion, most Scousers wouldn't be picking the same route that he's.
But let's not forget that Steven was very close to leaving Liverpool, very close.
Of course, yeah.
And the only thing, obviously, without, you know, without having him here to confirm that, I think the only thing that stopped him was that thought of, as when he hated him,
yeah.
I think that was the big thing that made him this, you know what I mean? And Carragher said himself, hasn't he? Actually, Steven probably had more grounds to leave than Trent has, because he was in a pretty poor team, or relatively to this team. Yeah. And I think that's where it is different, isn't it? You know, Beckham has left at the time probably the best team in Europe when he left Man United to go to the biggest team in Europe, maybe in Real Madrid. Trent's maybe doing a similar thing.
It's exactly the same, the champions, and he's going to Real Madrid. And that's what I think maybe the national media or maybe social media doesn't understand, this whole we've got to be thankful for Trent and all that, because we've had that situation with Stevie, who's, you know, arguably one of England's greatest ever players, definitely one of Liverpool's, and he stuck with us and showed that kind of Scouse loyalty even when we were shite. Trent's not got a leg to stand on, really, has he?
No.
So it's like, hang on, you said you wanted all this. You said you want to be captain. Listen, you'd be captaining within a couple of years. You know, you want to have all these records and legendary status, and you want to do all that. But actually, your actions are saying that you don't.
Can we talk about that video as well, by the way?
Oh, my
again, God. Like, I know the Vardy one as well, because it kind of came off the back of the Vardy one. So the Vardy one's come first, and Vardy's give it like a proper robot reading off a teleprompter. Trent maybe took it a little bit, you know, more personal than that, but it was still...
Are you messing? More, lad, he looks like he's on... You know what I thought I was watching? Remember Homeland?
Yeah. Where they had like an AI thing.
It looked like...
like he was a hostage.
Hostage thing, yeah. It looked like he was like, yeah.
I thought it was an AI thing. I didn't even think it was him for the first 30 seconds. I thought they just got some AI Trent to say...
I honestly thought I was watching Homeland, and
it went like it was then repeating himself, weren't it? Going, oh, you know, as a kid, and he dragging out all them pictures from the academy when they were kids. It was really cringy.
Do you know,
it was like, do you know what? If that's so important to you and all that, what are you leaving for then?
Exactly.
Like, I just felt like, honestly,
the irony of it. Yeah, it was. But you know what I think's happened?
I've lived my boyhood dream.
That's a good impression. I think the club, people at the club have thought, you know, because you can do. The club has shown now and again some of the videos that they've done are unbelievable.
Why have the club done it?
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. I think people at the club have went, fuck this, just throw a few fucking. Go on that Getty Images and just throw a few when he's a kid on there.
Oh my God.
It's not like a great video, is it? From like a...
No, not a good position. I mean, it felt like... I don't understand the club's motive for putting it out, honestly. I don't. Well, I understand his motive. And Adidas and all that. And like, we need to protect his brand, and we don't want, you know, a proportion of this country hating our superstar from Adidas' point of view. But
that's a good point, actually.
Why Liverpool putting that out?
They had to do something, didn't they? They had to.
I don't think they had to do it so one-sided, though. It should have been someone from the club. You know, Van Dijk or Salah come out. I think a more fitting tribute would have been the players talking about him and him not saying a word.
What I'm saying, I think they could have done all that.
That should have been what it was from the club, though. It should have been, okay, let's have our club people, our players, our manager.
No, but...
So let's get a quote from Klopp.
No, but that's what I'm saying, though. I think that the people are pissed off with him and they've thought, fuck him, we can have a fucking... We'll just throw a few images up.
Maybe, yeah.
Can you imagine it?
I think it's made him, personally, I think it's made him look worse.
So I commented, right, on it, and I said, I'd have least respected it a bit more if he had memorised the lines and not read from a teleprompter. And my comments had 3,500 likes. But some of the replies, I've got a fucking boss, you know. Some of them are people agreeing with me. And then someone's put, Justin's one bag has put, how can you tell, weather boy?
Weather boy?
I don't know. Fuck knows why he's called me a weather boy. And then someone else put, the fact that you call yourself a motivational speaker after typing this is insane. So yeah, apparently being a motivational speaker, you can't have an opinion on Trent reading from a teleprompter, according to like Instagram.
Is he suggesting though that motivational speakers read from teleprompters? So that's.
Oh, maybe yeah. He hasn't been to one of my talks because I fucking don't. But yeah, I just thought like, and again, I'm not like. It's weird. I'm not hating on the lads because I fucking get it. Going to Madrid and all. Like,
I'm the same.
I'm not. Like,
I'm the same.
He's insane for doing it.
All about and again, a lot of the expert pros went like, "What's the problem? He's going to this club, blah blah blah." Yeah, I get it, but I think that video suggested that he believes that everyone still should love him and everyone should understand his decision. You've got to. He's got to accept that you can't have your cake and eat it.
Exactly, and that's exactly it. And I don't know whether there's a difference. Listen, society is obviously very different, but the likes of when Stevie and Cara were coming through, I don't know, maybe listen, I didn't know them in their playing career in that sense, so I don't know like where they lived and what they did, but certainly you hear stories like Cara and stuff like that, maybe would be in the city centre a bit more and there was no, you know, taking pictures and stuff like that on your phones. Maybe they did feel more part of the city and more Scouse, if you like. Trent has probably lived in Cheshire since he was about 20, 21. He's not in the city the way like Cara and Stevie were.
No,
you could maybe say he doesn't feel as part of the club as maybe they did or something, I don't know. Or maybe he's certainly not read the room the way they did. So
no, I mean like very, very, as I say, very different personalities, but also I think a very different upbringing from when they joined the academy. So when Carragher and Gerrard were joining the academy, they wouldn't have been able to have left Bootle or Heighton until they were like 20, 21. Whereas you say Trent's been in private, you know, he was at Rainhill for a bit, but he's effectively been in partially private school. He's had everything.
He's been in a bubble, hasn't he?
Oh, he's been in a bubble without doubt. Yeah, he's had all his boots and everything bought for him since an early age. He has all the best clothes. You know, everything's been looked after for him. He's had an Adidas deal since he was young, and also we're talking about a kid who loves playing on his Xbox or PlayStation as much as he loves footy. So he's in that world of like, you know. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we're talking about a different generation, and therefore maybe we shouldn't be so critical and whatever, because, you know, he maybe perceives the situation to be very different. And we're also, and it's probably fair to say, you're also talking about your group of friends, aren't you? And the feeling amongst the fans that the younger kids might feel completely different about it and go, oh, sound that.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
So I think it is like it's an emotive subject, first and foremost.
Yeah.
I just think in that situation, you just need to let it lie and I'll let people have their, like, not try and force a narrative down.
Yeah, sometimes the best thing said is saying nothing at all.
Well, I think back to the players that we've had in that situation, Rooney, more than anyone else, you know what I mean? He pushed for that move to United. Argument is, obviously, the club needed the money, blah, blah, blah. He was in a team similar, I guess, to Gerrard, where he was never going to be able to realise his ambitions, more so Rooney, but he was hated and he didn't make any effort to try, and he just got on with his career. And eventually over time, you know, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years later, he started to talk about it and went, well, actually, this was hard for me, that's hard for me. And now, obviously, he ends up coming back to the club at a later age. It is what it is now, and there'll still be sections of our fans who will always hate him for that or whatever, but there's a much larger section now that go, okay, look, over time, I'm less emotive about the situation, and both clubs benefited from it in some way, shape or form.
I think I agree as well. I think what's really interesting on that note is European football is just as important for Liverpool and Madrid as the league is for both teams. The chances of Liverpool and Madrid playing each other in the next few years is high, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just think there'll be a lot of Liverpool fans will be hoping for Trent's demise. I don't think there's many. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I certainly would love nothing more to see
him struggle.
Lamine Yamal absolutely roast them every week, and he don't win fucking La Liga and he doesn't win a European Cup. And the shout he said with the Ballon d'Or, he really thinks he's going to play every week in that Real Madrid team, win the La Liga, win the Champions League, win the Copa del Rey, and outperform Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Bellingham. So they're going to win everything. And
Kvaratskhelia.
And he's going to be the star player.
Yeah, I mean...
He's fucking chatting shit.
You look at the last couple of rounds of the Champions League and it does make you realise that, certainly the younger players coming through, he's almost missed the boat when it comes to that level now.
Yeah.
Like as I say, you watched that game last night, which we're going to come on to, and as I've just said, mentioned Kvaratskhelia, who's not even in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or, but has been incredible. Doué, who's coming through for PSG, Barcola, Dembele, who's been incredible. And Dembele's only a little bit older than Trent. So
that Doué's 19, I think, and he's on but. And that's the last thing I'll say in the Trent thing, lad. I think what's pissed a lot of people off is he's just lying. Like, he's just chatting shit. Like, if you're going to come out, just own it and go, you know what? I want to learn a new language. I want to learn a new culture. And I've always wanted to play abroad. Sound.
And even if he went, you know what? Since I was a kid, I've played on my PlayStation and I've either been Real Madrid or Liverpool and I've done everything I can for Liverpool. Now I want to go to Real Madrid. That was always in my, that's he's saying all the dreams of my boyhood club. Yeah, maybe you did, and I'm not saying you didn't, but that's clearly changed. And just own it. As I say, just own that decision. And I think, hopefully that video's not going anywhere, is it? So it's like he's going to get that push.
And the very last thing I will say is I hope he doesn't get played now for the next few games. There's no need for him whatsoever to get any minutes on the pitch.
I agree.
It's not a fucking charity.
I mean, that the performance against Chelsea was embarrassing. I mean, not embarrassing for you, because look, it's like after the Mayor's parade and you could see there was a few hangovers knocking about, but he was walking around.
Oh, no. And listen, Conor Bradley, and again, I know that the tempo of these games aren't going to be much. I doubt. I honestly couldn't give a fuck now if we get beat 5-0 for the next 4 games.
No, come on. I was going to talk about that.
Oh, lad, I couldn't give a fuck, no.
But that goes into next season. You look at the champions from the last, 20 years. I've not seen people just completely take the foot off the gas, because I just think that just rolls into next season. No. And losing is a habit as much as winning is.
They're going to have fucking 2 months off.
Doesn't matter. I wouldn't be supportive of that.
The only thing I want to happen is I want Salah to break the goals and assists record.
And how's he going to do that though? If his teammates
I want that to happen, but I mean, listen, I'm not going to be overly bothered if we get beat.
I'm not saying you're going to be as bothered as you were before you'd seal the title, but I'd want to a lot of my mates were going on about, it's not all right, we haven't won the league yet, but we're going to get 97 points, we're getting 93. It's now suddenly, you're going to post potentially a point score that's going to be bang average. And listen, if I was you, I'd be thinking we deserve to be winning this by 10, 15 points, and that makes a statement, I think.
Lad, I could give a fuck.
Really?
I watched the Chelsea game, right? Went around to Sean's when the lads had the barbecue. I watched the Guard of Honour. And then went and sat outside and had a beer. Didn't watch it.
Yeah, I understand, but I understand you not being that bothered about results. But listen, if I was you, I'd want to be. I
want to see Conor Bradley playing, and I want to see him starting to think. And by the way, they're not going to listen to fucking my advice. They're going to be they are going to be bang at it. My point is, as a fan, I'm not that arsed if we don't play.
I'd be interested to know what other Reds think in that.
When we look back, Gary, at these next 3 games, Arsenal, Palace and Brighton, I think might be. No one will remember these 3 games.
I'm not saying they will, but the players will. You go into next season thinking, is that, where we got off it?
Maybe the ones who've got a point to prove,
start to doubt yourself a little bit. I genuinely think, I think Arne Slot's going to be not raging or not, and he's going to be like, listen, we can't just go out with a whimper here and lose 3 games on the bounce. What's that going to say to the teams like City who are thinking, listen, let's get some momentum. Imagine City now, I don't know how far behind, they finished 6 points behind you for argument's sake, which might be possible. Suddenly looking at that league, City going, we've had our worst season in however many.
It's mindset though, isn't it?
Well, no, I think it is different mindsets, but I think City has, multiple champions will be looking at this season and obviously it's a terrible season. But then you look at the table and Guardiola's going to be going, look at this table here. By the way, they've won it and they think they can just take the foot off the gas. We've got the momentum now.
But if we win the league like we did last week, 15 points clear, say, right, with 4 games to go, and the next 4 games we get beat, which means we only win the league by 3 points. We haven't only won the league by 3 points, have we? We would have played.
But you have, though.
Yeah,
but you have it. That's the fact of the matter. That's the
all right, yeah. It's the fact.
There's no need to give anyone any ammo, is there?
But
like your opposition, there's no need to give them some encouragement.
But my point is, though, we would have cooked those last 4 games far more.
What does that say? What would that say about the squad and the mentality of the players? Because if I was a City player, I'd be thinking, you know what, we'd never let that happen.
Yeah, that's not like. By the way, this is my mentality as a fan. If I'm in that dressing room, I'd probably be the likes of Mo there. I'd be still giving 110%. So I don't think it will happen. I just meant me as a fan.
But my question to you is, do you think that means nothing then? Do you think to the team and to the other the opposition teams, do you think that means nothing if you lose the next 3 games?
Well, yeah, let's look at the Arsenal game on Sunday, right? If they beat us 3-0, right? I don't think suddenly they go, right, that's it, lads. No, I'm not them next season. Now we just,
I'm not saying that, but I just think it's an unnecessary advantage to give to your rival teams for the following season.
I think you're thinking too much into it. I'd be interested to know how a professional would think of it, but yeah, I think the one thing is, which, and again, I will, emphasise, this is me as a fan. I think in that dressing room, Mo's going to be wanting to go for his record. I think players are trying to prove that they deserve a place next year in Arne Slot's system. I think there's a few players that have still got question marks over them, whether they still might even be there next season. So I think players will still be bang at it. No doubt about that. I think now is the next few games to try and hopefully just give the manager enough to go, look, I'm waiting another season.
Who are those players for you? Which players probably need to go, or do you need to replace? Whether it's dropping them down to a squad player versus like bench player.
I think Elliott's a really interesting one. I think I personally really like Elliott.
I think he'll want to go and play regular football.
But I really like him. I think he's a decent player. I think he could work in this team. Slot obviously doesn't think so. I just think it's a really interesting dynamic with the midfield 5 of Elliott, Jones, Szoboszlai, McAllister and Gravenberch. Like 5, I think McAllister's the best out of them. Then Gravenberch, then Szoboszlai, then Jones, then Elliott. But they're all like I say, I'm a big fan of Elliott, but he's probably the bottom of that 5. But I still really like him. It's such an interesting kind of conundrum the manager's got, where if he wants to add to that midfield, one of them is going down the pecking order. So it's like, you've got Endo in there as well, don't forget. So you've got there, say, 6 midfielders who, again, have all done an amazing job this season, like whether they're getting rotated, they're jumping in, jumping out, whatever role they've been given, they've all done great. The manager's now got this decision where he brings in another midfielder who can maybe add a few more goals. Who's he taking out and who's he kind of rotating them with? So it means at least 1 or 2 of them, whether it's Endo, Jones, Elliott, one of them are going to have to.
If I was, and Liverpool, obviously FSG in particular, I've got a track record of this. My feeling is they'll sell a Harvey Elliott because they'll know they'll get good money for him.
They'll get 40, 50 million, aren't they, I think?
Maybe not 50. I definitely think you'll get upwards of 30, 35 million. So if you sell him, you then maybe got 70 million to go and buy like an Adam Wharton or something who goes in and you go box-to-box player. Probably challenges Gravenberch for that place in the team. Maybe challenges at times McAllister, depending on who you're playing. I think a player like that makes you a better starting 11 in certain games. And you haven't then got a fringe player. But then it probably means that you've maybe got to go and add a little bit of creativity. But then you can maybe go and buy someone who can play on the wing as well as in midfield. Because I think that's where there's a bit of a, Elliott and Jones can't really play high up the pitch because they're not quick enough, are they? And
it's mad because again, Jones I think he's been great this season. Elliott again's done well when he's come on, but I just think if they are going to add a midfielder, which they probably will, they can't keep that midfield as it is. So it's going to be interesting on just how the manager judges it. I think up front, I think he's got to get rid of Núñez. Núñez has to go. Get rid of him. Again, I love Jota, but he's very injury prone. There's talks about Diaz. I've seen rumours he was going to Barca, then he was going to extend. I think they're definitely going to lose at least 1 striker, Núñez, maybe 2. Or maybe 3 if you class Chiesa in that kind of thing. So
Chiesa's not good enough, is he?
So definitely, I think Chiesa, Núñez is going. One of the midfielder, don't know. I think Tsimikas probably gone. Gomez maybe. So there's 4 players there. Quansah maybe.
That's
go
6.
5, 6. So the players to bring in...
I think he probably keeps Quansah because of his age.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, you know.
But I think they're definitely bringing in a left-back. I think they're bringing in a midfielder. Maybe a centre-half and maybe a striker. I am actually really excited about what could be a big transfer window for Liverpool, I think.
And I think it's where... I mean, I'm not just doing this to bait you or whatever. I think it's interesting to see what those players look like, because let's be honest, the squad that's won this league were Klopp's players. Now, I'm not taking all of the credit from Arne Slot, because he's obviously had to inherit that and he's changed things. It hasn't been let's just play like the Klopp team, because as we've said a few times, it's definitely a different style of football. However, there's no doubt about it, the recruitment was driven by Klopp's idea of what that player looks like. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see whether those players look a bit different.
No, you're right. He could do with Ten Hag, buy a couple of Dutch players. They come in and fucking bomb the fucking... And so it is going to be really interesting. I think, though, it could be super exciting. I mean, we've not had a big transfer window since we bought like the midfield few players that we bought.
There's a few teams. I think it could be a bit of a merry-go-round because of PSR, you've got to trade, haven't you? You can't just go and buy and buy and buy. So that's why I'm saying I think you'll have to probably sell someone like Harvey Elliott in order to fund, the extra 50 million, that extra 60 million to go and buy the players that you need.
I'll call it early though, right? It's the 8th of May when I say this. If we can sign that left back, I can't think of his name. Kirksey, is it?
Kirkes from
Bournemouth, is it? If we can sign him,
Kirkes,
a midfielder who's kind of pushing that McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, really pushing to get a start, and Isak, I think that is such a statement for next season. If they can sign 3 players
of that ilk,
I think Isak, got to go for him.
The thing is, mate, that's you're talking for those 3 players,
probably 200 million,
and the rest 250, easy.
But you're selling Nunes for say 60. You're getting Elliott for 40, so there's 100 straight away. So if you only spend 100 million and you're getting those 3 players, you're fucking laughing. So it's easily doable. And I think that could be a massive... I'm dead excited about this summer, I really am. Before we touch on the Champions League, Everton seems... I told you, it was more exciting, this pod, when you was nearly getting relegated. There's fuck all to talk about.
I mean, I think the last game at Goodison's pretty significant, like the oldest stadium.
It's not this week, though, is it? It's next week.
It's next week, yeah.
So we'll fucking leave that until next week. No, honestly, though, I mean, what's going on in Everton's world?
I mean, at the moment, it's very interesting in terms of the players who are coming out, who are going to be out of contract. We've got 15 players, including the players who are on loan, who are going to be out of contract. I mean, a lot of those players are no-brainers. The likes of Michael Keane, the likes of Neil Maupay. They're not getting contracts.
Neil Maupay not coming back, no?
Neil Maupay's not coming back, no.
I'd pay his wages. I'd have a fucking, everyone thrown in.
Why don't you sign him?
Just to get him to come back.
You should just sign him. That'd be comedy value. But yeah, you've got players like Idrissa Gueye, Decore, Jack Harrison. Maybe there's a chance of extending the Dominic Calvert-Lewin. There are players where you think, would you give them a contract just to kind of keep them in the squad, and if you don't give them a contract, how much is it going to cost you to replace players like that? So there's a lot of interesting conversations going on. I mean, a bizarre one that came up this week in terms of like stoking the that fire a little bit was Abdoulaye Decore went on Ben Foster's podcast. Foz cast or whatever it is.
And said what?
Decore, I've never heard Decore actually do an interview, but he obviously used to play for Watford together, didn't he? But yeah, he basically said, the club haven't offered me a contract and I'm not waiting for that contract now. I've got other offers. Apparently it's from Saudi. Got other offers on the table.
Here's a really interesting one for you then. Do you think, given the unbelievable, by the way, work David Moyes has done and where you find yourselves now on the table, considering where you were, do you think the kind of...
expectation?
Not so much expectation, maybe the wrong word. Do you think the kind of view of players has changed in the sense that people,
without doubt,
people are now thinking... Because a year ago they were probably thinking, I need to get out of here. Yeah. Do you think now that I want to stay?
Well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the best example of that. Like, everything he said over the last few weeks, he's like, they're moving into a new stadium. We've got a new manager who's give us some a bit more vigour and a bit more ambition. Why would I not want to stay at this club? But his words like that, I've never heard anything.
That's a bit fucking cheeky of him. That.
No, it is cheeky of him, without a doubt.
Fucking pony.
No, but it's the shit. There's now a shift, isn't there, of kind of that position of strength? Because
the powers.
A year ago, he was a player who hadn't been injured for nearly 2 years. He was still only a couple of years ago that he'd, had a really good run under Carlo Ancelotti, and he's got loads of, clubs that are after him. He's now coming off the back of another injury layoff for a good few months, has a pretty poor or barren run from a goal scoring point of view. You've got other teams who brought in strikers in the meantime that have kind of filled that void. I don't think there's the appetite out there anymore to go and give him 120, 150 grand a week, whereas now, the club are going, well, actually, we can get, talking about the interesting bit of trying to sell players, we can probably sell Beto for maybe 15, 20 million, keep Calvert-Lewin as a number 2, and then go and buy a replacement as the first choice. So I think he's probably the most interesting out of all of them, in that, actually, as a club, we probably could get an half-decent deal with his wages. You could go, you know what, Tom, you're on 120 grand now. We're going to offer you 80, but we're going to offer you another 50 when you play. So it's how much you pay as you play deal, which I know 150 grand, 120 grand sounds a lot for a player who hasn't delivered the goals, who's got a bit of a questionable injury record. He's on 120 grand now.
That is fucking scandalous, lad.
It is now. If you're a team that's going to sign him on a free, you're probably going to have to pay more in wages, or you might ask for that. Now, if you're Everton and you give him a 3-year deal, that's 15 million quid. So it's like you sign a striker for 15 million quid. Now, is Calvert-Lewin worth 15 million quid, including his wages? Yeah, probably. Now, if we keep Calvert-Lewin and it costs us 15 million quid over 3 years, and then we go and sign someone else for 25, 30 million who comes a first choice, we probably strengthen the squad there. And we've give Calvert-Lewin a bit more of an incentive to stay fit, because hopefully he's on a pay-as-you-play or, some kind of goal bonus. So I don't think it's the worst decision in the world. Now, I agree with you. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's probably done everything he can over the last 3 years to get out the club.
He's got a cheek suddenly now.
He has, so I think we're in that position now, going, well, do you deserve a contract? I think Moyes has made no secret that he likes him. He tried to sign him at West Ham. He has spoke a lot about him since he come in, saying, look, he should be a big player for this club. We've got to keep him fit, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of managers have said that when they come in.
I think it's going to go down to the owners as well. Are they going to be more like Liverpool owners, who are kind of like almost this money ball? Listen, it's got the numbers and stats have got to stack up. Or are they just going to go, there's a checkbook, you go and do what you want?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think the likes of, going back to the players who are out of contract, the likes of Ashley Young can't really be retained because of his age, unless he's just going to be on absolute buttons. I definitely think there's a prerogative to go and sign players and younger players and a bit of value. But I have been told reliably that Moyes is also going to be allowed a percentage of that kitty to go, well, actually, this player, that player is needed to make sure that we establish a decent position in the league. Because if you go and buy a load of players of value when you've got the squad that we've got, there's easily a danger that you're back in the position that we were last year. So really interesting for us, and again, not least how many of those players that we retain or we send back. So yeah, I'm excited, but I just think the big thing for us is, within reason, trying to get that business done early. I mean, the heavy rumour this morning is that Leeds want Beto. I'll be honest, I'd drive him there. Listen, he's been. Listen,
it's mad that you say that when you've just kind of.
I know you bear with me.
Blow smoke up Calvert-Lewin's arse, but
I'm not.
I'm not giving him more of a chance.
I'm not saying let's say Calvert-Lewin's brilliant and Beto's crap. Not like that. I think what Beto's done for us over this period has been brilliant. But he's a very limited player, Andy. Like, very limited. Like, he literally just, you seen in the derby, he's a box of frogs. And don't get me wrong, I think in another time, when you didn't have PSR and all that, and you weren't under pressure to trade players, you go, let's keep him, because he's not going to upset the dressing room. He's a good character. He gets you a few goals, but he's not good enough to play above where we are now. He's not going to take the club on. So I think it makes financial sense if a club are going to offer decent money to let him go, provided we've got somebody who David Moyes is looking at, who's going to get us more goals and is going to be a better all-round striker.
I can see this clip of you next season Calvert-Lewin on like 2 goals, Beto flying with Leeds on like.
No, I'm not saying if this was a choice of who. Listen, one of them's got to go and no one else is coming in. I'd let Calvert-Lewin go all day because, as you say, all the reasons.
You mean financially in a bigger picture, it makes more sense to do what.
Yeah, and I think provided he's not our first choice, and I absolutely categorically want to state that I don't want Calvert-Lewin to be our first choice centre forward next season. It would really.
It'd frustrate me. I fucking hate it.
It'd piss me off because he doesn't deserve that really. As you say, given the fact that he's he's tried his best almost to try and get out of the club over the last few years, but I still think he's probably gives you more as a centre forward than Beto does.
Won't matter anyway because Liverpool are going to sign Kevin De Bruyne and just piss the league anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right, yeah, fair enough. There is some bits on Everton. We'll talk more about Goodison next week, to be fair, on next week's show. Champions League this week was bananas, wasn't it?
Phenomenal.
Me and Gary were talking off air. We both fancied Barca to go through, and absolute heartbreak in my house when Inter Milan scored to take it to extra time. Felt sick.
Yeah.
Well, it was elation in like the 88th minute when Barca got the winner, and then tears with 2 minutes to go when Inter scored the extra time. But anyway, unbelievable. Both. You know what I didn't think on? Why didn't I have a little bet on 3-3? No.
Yeah, from the first leg.
Same. You know what I mean?
Goals, but you look at it, don't you? You think it can't be as open as it was in the first leg. I thought it was been particularly at Inter.
Yeah.
And Inter are renowned, and I've been for the last 5 or 10 years, and still so this season where they keep things tight, try and nick a goal, and I just thought they're not going to go toe to toe with Barca again, but they did.
I thought the pressing that they done, it reminded me a bit like Klopp's kind of teams, how much they pressed. It was
so
like,
much energy, yeah.
But then it took its toll in the second half, didn't it, where they were all a bit tired. But I thought Barca's high line's crazy, isn't it?
It's nuts the way they play, to be fair, and they've been that from the start of the season, and they caught everyone in the league cold early on with it. Now teams are realising where you can get at them, and it's you know what the PSG Barca final was in Boston.
I know, I was praying for it.
But having said that, the way that Inter have conducted themselves over those 2 legs, and they have gone toe to toe, it still could be a great final with those two.
No, but still, I want PSG to win it now. Like
I do, because
I just think it's great for everyone thinking that you need to have your Messis, Ronaldos, and your Mbappes. It's just great for.
You could say that about Inter though. They haven't really got any.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
There's no superstars there. The team drafters and system.
No, I agree. I just think the fact that PSG though tried to do it the Messi, Suarez, Neymar route, Mbappe, and they've
now gone with homegrown talent pretty much,
and people who
with the odds
strikers who track back and you know what I mean, work hard for the team. I just think it's a nice show for like what can happen in life when you work together.
And that's that. I think that's true of both teams. Both of those teams work harder off the ball probably than they do on the ball.
Yeah.
Kvaratskhelia, that was bossed at last night, where he drives into the corner in the 90th minute, like just runs and runs. You know exactly what he's doing. He gets tackled and he goes, "Come on."
Do you know what I thought one of the most iconic things was? That celebration from the Inter player.
Yeah.
When he jumps up on the cage and just starts giving one of them. I thought, it's fucking boss that. I thought
Frattesi was a
couple of refereeing decisions. Obviously, I had my Barca hat on. I thought that could have been a penalty. You know, the first contact was outside the box, but he clips him again, kind of thing, inside the box. I thought it was a bit unlucky not to get a pen.
I do, but I think the refereeing over those 2 second legs was brilliant. You know, I mean, that penalty is moody. I think that Arsenal can see it's really really harsh. That he's not. He's got his arm
can't do anything with his hand there.
Yeah, when you turn to the side, what you meant to do, front it in the face.
And it's not as if the ball went a completely different way. We ain't going in. It
couldn't. Yeah, you're right.
It didn't do anything mad for the keeper to be like.
But that was VAR had done that, and once you put the referee in that situation, and VAR are saying, listen, he's got his arm out there. The rules, law of the game says that that's a penalty. You can't really say it isn't. But I think the general referee and the management of the game, how much they let the game flow last night. If you were giving cards out, it was no fuss, bang, yellow card, get on with it. I thought they were well managed games them, and I thought it allowed the game to be as exciting as it could be.
Defo, I think that even the Barca referee come out, I think Barcelona and Mona about something, and he went, go ahead, go and speak to UEFA. Fucking sounds he's got a bit about him, you know what I mean? Which I think in this day and age,
to be a strong personality, you need to be having yourself. The referee.
All the footballers to make it where they've got to, of all big personalities. So as a referee, you've got to be able to go fucking sound.
No, I don't mind that. I know people go, it shouldn't be about the referee. But
you need to have a good,
that's it.
Good personality.
And putting it blunt, the game doesn't work without a good referee.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm okay with the referees having a bit of personality. I'm a big advocate of, and I know that this is going to come in very soon, obviously around the rest being mic'd up, getting interviews after the game. I think the referees should be. They should be accountable, and equally, I think they should be credited when they play well, because we've seen it so many times how a referee can ruin a game very quickly, and also.
And one of the most famous referees you'd ever think of, Kalina. He was a personality. And he was strong then. And
Howard Webb.
Yeah.
Like,
he worked well, didn't he, Kalina? I think. So, yeah, I'm all right with referees having a big character. The games itself are unbelievable. Arteta, Muskie sent me a thing last night, and it's what I said in January, and I compared Arteta to Southgate. I said it back in January, and it's just come true now. I think it's really interesting, I think, for an Arsenal fan, what you do with him. Do you stick or twist? Because his head is fully gone this week. He come out and said that Liverpool have won the league on less points than Arsenal had, which was just an outright lie.
Yeah.
Like, someone's got the Arsenal points tally up after 35 games and compared to Liverpool's, and Liverpool has more than them. Then he said that Arsenal were the best team in Europe and deserved to go through. That was a fucking lie as well. So I think if you compare the likes of Arteta with other managers, Klopp come in, had to change the whole team. You saw progression each year. I think first year we got qualification, I think got to the final. First year we got Europa League final, got beat. Second year we got Champions League. Third year we won a trophy. Like, that was the kind of progression. Arteta's been there now, be going into his sixth season with only one